shit. Christian's over here like, oh, I want to start the podcast today in sunglasses. I'm like, okay, let's go.
We're going to wear the entire time.
We're like inside. I'm like, what's happening? Can you guys see the reflection?
I feel like it helps me focus on the podcast. But this is the first time we've ever done it and we're 10 seconds. I'm locked in, baby. Let's do it.
I'm fucking dead. I'm
dead. Locked in.
You literally were 4.5 seconds in and you're already making puns. I can't even handle you so much today.
Alrighty. What are we talking about?
Never too early for fuel. Home ownership.
I love it.
When I was on the on my To Be Frank show on Facebook.
Yeah, 5 minutes, like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Well, it was a whole day ago now, right? But I said that if you haven't bought a house yet, it's your fault. And I was like, ooh, am I really going to accuse my followers of like, it's your fault? But I actually ran with it and I thought it was really true.
I feel like it's kind of the same mentality as when I was like, what's the quickest way to lose 100 grand in 5 years?
I loved that fucking reel. It hit me out of left field because I didn't know you were making it. What's the quickest way to lose 100 grand in 5 years? Damn.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Renting.
Right. So if you're renting, what is the number?
I forget what I rented.
I think I know the number. The number is, it's like it's like $1,500 a month.
I think.
Or $1,600 a month.
So let's
right?
just calculator,
$1,600 a month would be 16 grand a year. No, I guess it would have to be more like 20 grand a year. So it'd be like $1,800 a month.
Yeah, it would be like 1,800.
So $1,800 a month is going towards 20 grand a year, 5 years, 100 grand. Your landlord's taking that money and using it to pay down their principal balance, and you're getting nothing.
And the reason I use that number is because some people that I've talked to, especially that I've been working with, they're like, yeah, I've been working for, renting for like 5 years. And I was like, well, what does your rent start at? And they're like, $1,300. And now it's up to like $1,800 or $1,700. I'm like, dude, do you know how much you've paid in rent in the past couple of years?
Right.
And I literally pulled out my phone. It's like, even if we took like the low number of 1,300, you still paid like 60 grand to your landlord.
Right. And if you took the same 60 grand, you put it towards principal. I like to use 8 years, right? So let's just use easy numbers, right? 2 grand a month, which is kind of common in today's market. 2 grand a month is going to be $24,000 a year. Over 8 years is going to be over almost $200,000.
You might as well have a house paid off.
In 8 years, you would make the same exact $2,000 payment. And what you would earn in 8 years' time, you would earn 20% equity. You would earn over $60,000, $70,000 in equitable position, plus 8 years of appreciation. And over the last 8 years, I mean, you would have bought a $300,000 house, you'd be at $450,000, and you would only owe $220,000.
You know, at this point, I feel like
crazy.
How is everyone not buying a house right now? You know, I feel like we can just end the podcast now, ship this out, and everyone should technically be a homeowner right now.
Lives like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, right. Like, at least she laughs about it. I just think there's so much opportunity, and I think even
people don't look at it as an opportunity, and I don't understand why.
It's like even like people look at it like a negative thing. So
it's like even like the hardships or like the stressful times in life, right? They always they don't look at it as an opportunity to learn or to grow or to do anything. They always it's like this bad thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say. On the blog, number 5 here is to get a cosigner. A family member who is willing to cosign for your mortgage could help secure a loan with a lower down payment or better terms. In my case, the family member helped me secure a loan at worse terms than I could have gotten in my own.
Yeah.
But in order to get the loan on my own, I would have had to put down more money. Yeah. Right. And so it was like a benefit loss, but everybody's so afraid to do that they never end up taking on the liability. And here we are 6 years later in owning my home. And, the example that I just gave is actually my situation, right?
Yeah.
Rather than spending $1,500 a month in rent, I spent $1,500 a month in mortgage. And then look at what we've done over the last 6 years.
I mean, this house is great. I love it.
I mean, thank you.
If you were to sell it, I were to buy it.
Nah, I don't think we'll ever sell this house. Honestly.
You said if you did, Amanda's parents might buy it.
Yeah, 100%.
What if I outbid them?
There's no way that they're not going to move here. I would be willing to bet.
When you say here, you mean this house?
This house.
I just have to outbid them, I guess. Let's fucking
Yeah,
get to
right.
work.
You and my brother too.
Your brother wants the house?
To be honest, though, well, my sister-in-law would never do it. She would never move here. It's too far from where she wants to be, and location is such an important thing that for her it was more about the location and less about home ownership. As a matter of fact, my brother's a good example. They grew up differently. He grew up in a home where my mom bought it. They paid over the monthly payment. They bought it. By the time he went to college, they owned 100%, right? My sister-in-law, her parents still are renting. That's their lifestyle. That's their family. That's what they feel comfortable in.
Right.
And that's how she was brought up. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then when it came to where she wanted to live versus where he could afford, it was a challenge for them, but they ultimately found a neighborhood where he could feel comfortable, she could feel comfortable, and they would never move here just because it doesn't work for them.
Do you think that the way that our parents bought homes has a huge influence on how people buy homes today? Like, and I mean, how long? How long you stay in a home? Like, my parents have owned for
100%. There's not even a
they
question.
probably lived in for 20 years. So when these first time home buyers walk in and they're like, I want to buy this house, I want to do this or that, before they even find the right property, they're thinking to themselves, they're going to be there forever.
I will tell you, I know so many examples of this, and I'm going to use a lot, right? My brother brought up in a house where they owned a home where they made more than the monthly payment so that they could own the home sooner. My sister-in-law brought up in a house that didn't ever buy. They always rented. Always, right? Okay. He's committed to owning. She doesn't care about owning. Then fast forward, I know people that have moved every 2 or 3 or 4 years, and now they're committed to living in the same place for a long time. I know people that lived in the same place their whole life, and now they're committed to just any risk, any aversion. They don't care. They're willing to take on anything because it's almost like the opposite. I don't know the just medical term baby, that's in my brain. Yeah, right. But like, I'm going to use Bobby as an example. For my investor client, Bobby, he grew up in a very stable household. Same house from the day he was born to the day he moved out. His parents still live in that house. And this dude is like moving from place to place because he gets benefits and opportunities, tax write-offs and liabilities. And then he's also sinking tons of money into rentals because that's where he can build equity. For him, the solidarity and the comfort in having the same place doesn't matter.
Right.
But then I know people that moved from, $5 million house to $7 million house to $3 million house to $12 million house. Like, it was a game that they were playing with the market. And now they are committed to buying their $400,000 house that they can afford and not moving because like your parents do play a huge role. To that effect, when I first got my license, 2013, there was a lot of conversation about fear for first-time home buyers holding out. And there was a huge thing that first-time home buyers represented a lower portion of the market than other buyers in the market because the impact that they saw from 2006 to 2009 and the fallout from that gave a lot of pause and fear to people that had grown up in that comfort of having their own home.
Now, what did that do? Was that actually like the majority of the market, and did they hold out?
Well, we can always rate, I don't want to do it right this second, but we can always rate NAR, so National Association of Realtors, will tell us how many home buyers were first-time home buyers by percentage. And usually we're around 27 to 34%. It's usually a pretty darn big section.
Still?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Okay.
And we've gotten up to close to 40% in the past, but here back in 2013, we were talking like high teens. It was just a low section of the market. The market had slowed down. There was a lot of repossession at the time, and there was a lot of fear. Remember, at the same time, the downtown surge, the luxury apartment surge, that was all starting. So there was all this reason not to buy at the same time as the compulsion to buy was low.
Now, I don't even know how old was I in fucking 2008? 12?
7?
Not 12. Yeah, 12.
It was like 12.
Yeah. So do you remember anything from that?
No, I don't, and I honestly didn't learn about it until much, much later.
Right.
Yeah. So like when you're saying all this stuff, like, I mean, I only know about it from working in real estate and again, learning about it much later, but like to experience it is probably a whole nother thing. What did you see? What did you feel
Well, let's start here. I just wanted to look this up. First-time home buyers made up 34% of all home buyers last year, which was an increase of 31% from the year prior. So first-time home buyers are still a huge part of our market, and we're seeing them come out more and more and more. That makes perfect sense given the fact that the people that were moving in COVID were motivated to move, motivated to transact due to growing families, growing experiences, more people in the home, or a financial burden that was giving them reason to move. Right. Now we're seeing more people come out because of the desire to move again. So 34% is huge. First-time home buyers. Anyway, your question was back in 2008, 2009, what was
the experience like?
Nothing.
Really?
I mean, I was 21 and like, bro,
you were at the bar in college.
I mean, yeah, like we were fucking making money. Like I was working hard. I was grinding at the bar. I was grinding at the, every event that we could work. John and I would work parties, and we'd work, shows, and we would go to these big national raves and whatever. And we'd bartend. We'd make like $400, and that was great money. Like I'm not knocking it. But then we'd go out to the bar the next night and we'd spend, 80, 130, 150 bucks. And again, today, very different money 10 years later, 15 years later.
Right.
But still, like, it wasn't a hardship that we had to suffer. And I will say, right, all the great things for my mom. My mom was committed back in 1991, probably, when she and my stepdad got married, that they bought that property, and they had been paying 120% of their monthly payment or 130% of their monthly payment every single year or every single month from day one. So by the time 2009 came around, they almost owned their home. They were almost free and clear.
Right.
And so for them, it was easy to keep with the low, slow, steady, sequential monthly payment that they had been making for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think that I saw it from the outside, but I didn't see it from experiencing hardship and we're very fortunate for that. Sure. Right. At that time I was living with a family that was close to me, and they had taken me in under their wing as kind of like a way to sort of mentor me into like adulthood, because I never really got that. And again, right, kudos to them. Didn't have any hardship there. I was very, very blessed and very, very fortunate. But I mean, I heard about it. I would hear about it constantly, but it wasn't something that was tangible in my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, like thinking about it now, I don't think there's anyone that I saw where that was tangible. I didn't know anybody whose family lost their home. I didn't know anybody who even sold their home.
I also not changing topics, but kind of coming to the present day, a lot of people are still expecting like massive amounts of foreclosures and like, what is the other word that I'm looking for? I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now. What's the other one? Short sales, foreclosures. Yeah. I don't know where they're pulling this from. I don't know if I don't even know how they get this idea. Maybe just because they're not involved in this environment all the time. Like we see it every single day. We know what the statistics are. And then I go call some dude that inquired on our website, and he's like, yeah, I'm waiting for the market to crash. And I'm like, okay, well, how long you want to be waiting for, dude? Like, let me know.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a huge, percentage of the market, just still back here on this home buyer thing. So back in 2003, 2004, 2005, it was 40% of the whole entire market was first-time home buyers. That dipped a little bit, but in 2009 and 2010, it went up to 40 and 50%, 47 and 50%. But it makes perfect sense. The only people that were buying homes back then were people that had the capacity to buy. No one was buying a home that already owned one.
Right.
And the people that had lost one in the years prior, they were starting to lose them even more, right? It dipped down to a low of 31% back in 2020. Right? But we're seeing it come back.
50%.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. But also remember how vast our market has grown, how quickly our population has grown, how many people are looking.
Thing.
I mean, it's fucking crazy.
I look at, the inventory of houses. I also look at the population that we have in the States here. And it's like, how the fuck, like, it's just crazy. The demand for houses, it can't meet the We can't meet it.
I think the crazier thing is this thought process that I have, which is that like not everyone can move together anymore, right? Like we've been doing this since 1776, right? Like growing bigger, moving together, growing bigger, moving together. We can't keep doing that, right? We're going to get to a point where we're literally going to divide the country in two. But I don't think that that's happening. I think that it's growing into much smaller segments. And there's a lot of people that are going to live luxury apartment life for the rest of their life. There's a lot of people, probably, honestly. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's not.
Right? Like she brings so much to the world. She brings so much competency. 100%. She's so proud of where she lives. It's not a bad thing.
No.
She's not looking to her landlord to solve her problems, which a lot of people are. There's a huge amount of people that are going to live off the government and take advantage of those programs. And that's great too.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's more people that are going to own their first home for 12 and 15 years than there are people that are going to sell their first home in 2 or 3 years. I think that the world is just going towards like different streams of media, and everybody's going to move in their own path.
That's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah.
I really
I love that we caught that.
I don't even know how we caught that.
I don't either.
I feel like you clipped it like afterwards and uploaded it or something.
It was honest to God. I was like, say something into the mic.
Oh yeah, that was like the first day that we had it. Yeah.
But like as we're looking at like first time home buyer, we're looking at crash of 2008. We're looking at REO, foreclosures, all these things. Like the world was not ready for that. And now 15 years of history, the world is ready for it to happen.
Oh, 100%.
So like, let's just say the world crashes, which it's not going to. Mark my words, right? It's not going to. Even John says that the market's going to crash, but it won't.
Liv, what do you think?
Market crash?
I actually don't think
So like the world will not allow that to happen. But if it does, the very first thing that's going to happen is foreclosures are going to become, instead of 6% of our market, they're going to become 7.5% of our market.
Right.
And the world is going to think that, oh my God, I have to buy a foreclosure because it's like some big piece of the market, even though it only grew like this much.
Right.
And then here's the other byproduct. In 2008, 2009, they were throwing these foreclosures on the market as quickly as they could get them. They were taking whatever the high bid was, and they were willing to accept $340 on a $430,000 listing. But today, if the house is listed for $340 and you offer $320, they're not accepting it.
Yeah.
Because they have algorithms and they have mathematics and they have an approach to how they came to that listing price. They can't just unilaterally accept a lower offer. It just doesn't work. So then we have to wait for that price to come down. And in the bank's mind, this is what their math says, and I don't agree with it, but whatever. In the bank's mind, instead of accepting $320 on that home, we're going to drop the price from $340 to $335, and then we're going to drop it to $330, and then we're going to drop it to $325. Yeah. And then if we have to drop it to $320,000, we're going to get multiple offers and we're going to sell it for $327.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree with it. I actually severely disagree with it. But for the buyers that are coming into the market that think that they're going to get a deal buying a foreclosure, the deal is the fact that the foreclosure is listed for less than the other homes in the market in the first place because of the condition. Right. And if you don't want to deal with the condition, go home.
Right. Pay a premium.
Funny fact, I was out with Christopher Achenu yesterday.
Were you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And we went and looked at this condo. I don't understand the deal with people. What is the deal with people going like this?
Like recording?
No, they have somebody on FaceTime.
Like, I don't know.
Like right now, Liv, I have somebody on FaceTime. We're sitting here having a conversation.
They just have someone on FaceTime?
Yeah, they just have somebody, and they're like this. And they have like an earbud in their ear, and they're like this.
The one thing that I can't stand is when people wear AirPods as like a fashion thing or all the time. Like, I don't understand that.
He does that, but I guess he's...
No. I do it when I'm working.
He's taking calls, yeah.
But like they do this. They walk through the house. So I'm with Christopher yesterday, and he's walking through the house, and he's like this. And I'm like, are you on FaceTime with somebody? And he's talking to me kind of like mumbling, and I can't really understand him. And it turns out that he is, in fact, on FaceTime with someone else that I didn't even know was involved. And then I'm like, what do you think of this house? And he goes, what do you think? And I was like, well, I think it's great. What do you think? And he's like, oh, no, I'm just waiting for her. I was like, what? Anyway, so we go see this house. It's a great little property. It's a condo in Gaithersburg, a wonderful property, like $300,000. It's been updated. It's not perfect, but it's got 3 levels, beautiful, beautiful windows, a very mature community. I loved the area that it was in, but I understand why he didn't love it. I get it. It's not for everybody. We moved on to the next property, which was a detached property, which needed some work. And I was like, we can't buy this. And he's like, why not? I was like, because look, the garage door is not mounted to the garage. Like, the VA is never going to allow for that. He's like, you don't think? I was like, all right, well, let's just say hypothetically they allow the garage door. That window that's broken and missing, the VA is not going to allow for that. The trash that's in the backyard, how about let's go around the backyard? Let's go look at the deck. There's rats, there's smell. It was awful.
Yeah.
We finally opened the door and like I had to unbutton my shirt and like put it over my nose. It was that bad. And he's like, you don't think they'll finance it? I was like, no.
Okay. What did he even have money to put into it?
It's not even about that. It's not even about that.
What is it about?
To me, it's about the only reason that Christopher Achenu hasn't bought a house is his own fault. It's his own failure to acknowledge this is what it's like to buy a house in today's market. This is what you're going to be able to afford. This is what you're going to be qualified to buy. This is what your lender's going to be willing to do. This is where you're going to go. And then that townhome condo is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like it. Why not? I didn't like it. Okay, sounds great.
No, I can relate to what you're saying. I've definitely been there before. I mean, me and Wayne Carroll have gone out to see properties and like, there'll be a really nice one that checks off all the boxes. It's a detached home, and then he'll want to go to one that's kind of like a dump and be like, "Yo, I'm ready to fix it all up." And I'm like, hey, the VA won't allow it. He's like, oh, really? Like, I mean, literally the same situation.
It's your own fault, right? Like if you don't invest in Amazon stock when Amazon stock costs $7, it's your own fault. You don't yell at anybody else.
Right.
But then what ends up happening is people turn around and they come back and they're like, well, I'm just waiting for the interest rates to go down. Nah, you should have bought when the interest rates were down. You didn't. Now we hear now, bro. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to sit here and be like, oh, interest rates need to go down again? Like, they're not going to go down.
Right.
Joke's on you. 6% is still really fucking good. Look at the history.
Have you seen the movie 2012, either of you?
No, I actually saw it on TV yesterday on like the guide thing yesterday.
Liv, have you seen it?
Watch it.
I feel like we're the...
I think I might have seen part of it. But like,
I feel like Mike right now is the guy that's in his van on Yellowstone, like as the flaming balls are like flying overhead and the world's ending with the sunglasses on. He's like, I knew this day would be coming.
All I heard was like, you think that I'm Yogi Bear running out of Jellystone National Park. Anyway, I've never seen the movie. It holds no bearing
I have to bring
to
up
me.
the scene.
Anyway,
That's a shock.
I just think that there's a lot of people that are looking for something. And I honestly think to myself, like when I get those contacts from a salesperson, do I treat that salesperson that way? And I will solemnly say, yes, I do. But I think I have a different objective in mind. I understand why people say, nah, I'm not trying to buy with the interest rates high. Like, I get it, right? I think the difference is that my objective is to say, hey, look, can you help me understand the interest rates today? Is that something that I'm going to have to overcome either way? I don't want to buy with a high interest rate, but are you telling me that I'm not going to have any option?
Well, also like understanding like if they're actually frustrated with the interest rate or their monthly payment.
Well, yeah, but then that's like a super sales thing too, right? Like,
okay, well,
super sales thing is you go into the dealership and they say, what do you want your monthly payment to be? Right? And I'm like, I don't want a monthly payment. I'm going to give you cash. I want the car.
but you need to understand where people are coming from. Like,
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is I walk into a car dealership and you tell me, what do you want your objective monthly payment to be? We're not even speaking the same language because I'm giving you cash.
right.
I don't want to have that conversation.
Taking the time.
But the conversation is the conversation that needs to happen.
One of my clients recently got them through Veterans United, and they said they were going to end up working with another agent that their friend or whatever had connected them with.
Yep.
And they were like, they put us on a portal. They're showing us all these properties, like just online, and we love the ones that are popping up. And I was like, hey, look, like that's the easy part of the job. Just I could plug you into a portal right now, but you need to take the time to understand, like.
You can get a good look at a T-bone by putting your head up the butcher's ass.
Oh my God.
I don't even remember the comment, but I just remember that one. You're like, that's the easy part of the job. I can get a good look at a T-bone by putting my head up the cow's ass.
Anyways, I was like, understanding your position in the market, what you truly want in a home. And he had sent me all this criteria, like a 2-car garage, whatever. Right now we're negotiating, putting together a deal that doesn't even have a 2-car garage. And after we had walked through the property and they're like, yeah, we want to put an offer. And they're like, Christian, like, thank you for so much for like really taking the time to do all this. Like, I know I originally told you I wanted a 2-car garage without you like really taking the time to understand what we truly want, the space that we need in the price range, the budget, X, Y, Z. We never would have found this home. Let's hear it.
Of course I understand what no means. But if I took no for an answer, I'd probably wind up on a street corner selling spicy hot dogs and wearing a funny hat, right? It makes sense, doesn't it?
Look, I've been doing business with Callahan since I hung out my shingle. But I don't like you. Probably never will. You're a smug, unhappy little man, and you treat people like they were idiots. Mr. Brady, you and my dad go way back. Son, I was sorry to hear about your dad. I was. But before I decide to keep my business with your place, I'd have to come by.
God damn, this is long.
Operation.
All right, come on,
I
bro.
tell you what.
There you go.
You can take a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there. But wouldn't you rather take his word for it? What? I'm failing to make the connection here, son. No, I mean, you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up a butcher's ass.
The comment is you could get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up the cow's ass, but wouldn't you rather take the butcher's word for it? Right? And that's the same thing here, right? Like, I can show you property. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
If you want to hire me to show you property, let's go.
Right.
But if you want to hire me to get the job done, getting you in a home that you love, something that you feel confident in, the difference between me today, I said this yesterday to clients that I just met for the first time. I said, the difference between me today and me a decade ago when I first got started is really not much. I have the same attitude. I have the same charisma. I have the same style. Like, I open the door, let you walk in, like, go for it, have fun, right? I've always been that way. The difference is that now, today, I understand and recognize that when you're buying a townhome that's got a garage and 1-car parking in front, that tandem parking could be a difference maker for 2 people that come and go routinely, and they need the ability to drive around each other all the time.
Right.
So for me to be a professional, to bring you that content, anyone can open the door. But for someone to understand your lifestyle, your expectations, and your needs in the process of buying a home, that's why you're hiring me. Not because I can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking my head up a butcher's ass, right? It's the whole experience of, like, if you just want listings, go to Zillow.
Right.
If you just want to walk through houses, go to Zillow. And if you think that you're going to get a savings by going directly to the listing agent, you're not. The listing agent's excited that you've come to them because they're going to make twice the income for doing half the work.
Right.
Bang.
Mic drop.
All right, mic drop. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, but no, I do believe, honestly, if you haven't bought a house yet, it's your own fault. If you haven't taken advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you, we're talking about Liv and Chris, who are in the process of getting married and excited to take that next step in their life. But there's people that are just sitting here that aren't doing anything. They haven't bought a home. They're not married. They're not in wed. They're not engaged. They've got nothing going on.
You know what they should do?
They're not even coming to our home buyer event tomorrow. Fucking learning about the process.
Not tomorrow.
Saturday. You could come any day. You want to come tomorrow? I'll fucking teach
We'll
you.
have a homebuyer event right after this.
Fucking Goose and Iceman over here. We're fucking sitting here having a homebuyer event on a Tuesday. Anyway.
So our homebuyer event is April 22nd over at the UT office. Send us a message for some details. We'll send you over the homebuyer link.
Yeah, Saturday morning, 11 a.m., UT Baltimore. Super, super excited. If you guys do need it, hit us up. Liv's going to be putting it on Instagram all week. We've got tons of great content, and it's an easy way to start to learn the process into buying a home. If you ever need me, you can always reach me on Instagram at MichaelFrank ___ or at FrankOliverCo.com. You can always hit me off on my cell phone as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead, and just hit me on my cell phone 443-214-0933.
Lit.
Gang shit.
See you
Deuces.
guys.